Welcome back to This Week in Agribusiness. Farmers right now are grappling with a lot in agriculture and across the country. We've got droughts, we've got floods, we've got high winds, we've got volatile market prices, and we've got concerns about input availability and access as planting season gets closer. Max, those are not fun things to have to deal with, and certainly not as they're trying to prepare for planting. I imagine that's adding a lot to the stress level in rural America.
You know, even robust commodity prices have their own stress level. Making the right decisions when you have so few opportunities to make that right call of marketing. And we are going to talk this month about mental health awareness in our rural farm families, as we did a year ago with Adrienne DeSutter. Adrienne lives on a farm in Knox County, Illinois, and she is a counselor who has worked on these health issues with farm families. One thing we talked with her about are the stresses of this planting season. And you add to that, actually, the stress of Mother's Day weekend. Adrienne, a mother herself, shared with me her comments.
Absolutely. You know, one of the first things that my mother-in-law told me when Drew and I got engaged, my husband's mom said, "Now, just so you know, Mother's Day is probably not going to be your day after all in this marriage." And so it's something I've kind of held on to. And you're right, farm women can be in the field, they can be active at home, they can be taking care of business in the books. They do all sorts of different things in the farm family. But I think one of the biggest things we need to remember is that women especially are really good at taking care of other people, and we don't always want to be the first to take care of ourselves. We've all heard the oxygen mask, you know, where you've got to put your own oxygen mask on in case of emergency first if you're going to be able to help other people. I think we really need to keep that in mind and not just wait for the turbulence, not just wait for the crisis times, but at all times, you know, finding those little bits of joy in every day or those little bits of relaxation, whether that's throwing on some music and dancing in the kitchen, whether that is, you know, taking a hot shower for just 5 minutes, whatever it is that you find joy in, making sure that you're able to take time to do those things.
Since you mentioned the in-laws, I know that can be a real source of pressure on the farm. I've had a number of women say, you know, this is kind of a difficult situation in which we operate here. Communication really becomes essential, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I think, you know, fostering the relationship with your in-laws is really, really crucial when it comes to a farm family. I, you know, didn't come from a farm family, but 10 years ago, I jumped right into one. So it was a difficult navigation of, you know, where is my place on the farm, or is there one? And how do I not encroach on the traditions and things that have already been happening here at DeSutter Farms? So it's definitely tricky, but I think, again, being able to speak openly with I'm so fortunate to have a mother and father-in-law here that we're actually in their home right now. So they're super gracious, super, you know, willing to help and willing to be supportive. And I think part of that comes from just being a family where we try to keep those lines of communication open.
That isn't always easy, is it? And sometimes it's a real struggle dealing with that other generation that isn't really direct blood relation to start with there.
Absolutely, and I know women all over the place struggle with this, men as well, that are jumping into their wife's farm family and operations. It is definitely a struggle, and I think part of what can help us is just being open about those struggles with a friend or with, you know, with other farm organizations. We meet people that can kind of talk about how they share some of those struggles. I try to be really careful about the things that I say to other people, of course, because we want to have our own boundaries and our own privacy on our farm. But at the same time, it's okay to say, you know, I'm really struggling with a certain part of, you know, figuring out where I fit or whatever. Those conversations that we have where we can relate to other people, whether that's at, you know, at a meeting, a farm organization meeting, whether that's, you know, in a message on Twitter or something, but however we can make those connections, and just to realize we're not the only ones going through certain struggles, sometimes that in itself can be the weight lifted off our shoulders that we need.
Maybe someone else has dealt with the situation and did so successfully, and you can borrow an idea from them. Thank you so much, Adrienne. We look forward to visiting with you again next weekend and getting some ideas for some of these challenging issues that can weigh on us in agriculture. Have a great week.
Thanks so much, Max.